Hey there, this is Sam Flegal, and today I'm going to be talking about painting the background for my Kitchen Hoedkin painting, which is done in oil paint. Just as a reminder, the Hoedkin are a series of paintings I'm doing on old folklore spirits of the home that I'm bringing into a modern setting. In order to get started, we're going to talk some about material. This little jar is full of liquid and mixed with odorless mineral spirits, which I use as a quick drying agent for the oil paints. When using liquid, this will allow the paint to dry in just about a day or so. Some of the quicker drying painting will even dry faster. And so I'm just going to take that and put it all over the board. That way the painting will soak into that, or the paint will soak into that as I paint. As I finish that up, I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to start mixing my palette. And I took some photos of the palette so you could see how I arrange my paints. And then in the middle, I'm mixing everything on disposable wax paper so that it makes it a little easier to get rid of and not make a huge mess. Now, aside from doing some mixing when I need to as I go, this is the palette that I'll use for the entire background. I try to mix up all the colors I'll need beforehand, but of course you don't want to be too tightly held to that. You want to be freeform enough to be able to mix as you go as well. That way you get what you need when you need it. And here we go, kind of off to the races here. Basically just looking at my reference that I took over to the side on the iPad and using the colors in my palette and trying to put the first color in the right place, the right time, the first time. Obviously, there's going to be other layers and editing, but at each phase, the goal is to do my best to get it in there. And so, yeah, from this point on, though, I don't know that I have a whole lot to share. I may pop in from time to time, but I'm going to let you guys just enjoy watching the painting and maybe cue up a little bit of music here. So if you've been watching, you'll notice a few things but I want to point them out to you in case you haven't noticed them. And that's that I almost always go into the shadows first. You can see it here in the brownies where I'm coming into the darks first. And once I establish those darks using the value structure on my palette, I then come back in and start plugging in the lighter colors. And that's because it's so much harder. If you start light and work dark, it's really hard to see. The other way around, it's very much like inking, although you're inking with color. So you can establish a value structure, start to see where it goes, and then you're constantly pushing and pulling. It needs to be a little darker, it needs to be a little lighter, but I highly recommend going into those darker areas first, and then work your way forward as you're coming in, and then you can clean that stuff up and go from there. And right here you can see I'm taking the white, just popping out those highlights, and it's so much easier to do since I've established those darks and I know what I'm reacting to, and it almost immediately looks good. I mean, I'm certainly still going to come in and push some paint around and blend in those things, but almost the moment you put down the color, is it right, is it wrong? As long as you're working dark to light, you're going to know that too. You can see working on the foreground here. I'm about to switch over my reference though. I'm starting to go into the feet, shadows being cast by the figure, and putting those things in. And you can see I have even more reference, a close-up shot of the feet, and then I've got this reference of Woody in the actual stove. And I keep bouncing back and forth between the two throughout the video, in order to understand where I need to put the paint and what's going on. I'm not hard married to the reference, but it is influencing the choices I'm making and helping me get the things that I need for this painting. Then I'm going to turn this thing over and bust out a palette knife, which is something I do if I want a certain kind of texture. It gets really quick, loose structure, and you can see I'm already back to a brush, but I really like the palette knife when I want a textured look. And that's the thing is, don't be afraid to switch things up and try new things. I mean, it's oil paint. You're not going to ruin it. You're not going to hurt anything. If it looks bad, you can just wipe it out. With a few little last minute tweaks and adjustments, but for the most part, this brings us to the end of at least the background phase. Now there's still more phases to the painting. Obviously I need to paint the figure, I need to paint the face, and then I'll do further layers on top of that. But as far as the background goes on our first layer, I mean, that's pretty much taking care of it. This bad boy is done. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm Sam Flegal, and we had music by Ben Sound.